All right, guys, if you are moving south of Houston, Texas, and you want top-rated schools in arguably the safest suburb in the entire Houston region with top-notch amenities all under $1 million, allow me to introduce to you West Ranch in Friendswood, Texas. All right, so West Ranch is one of the most popular communities here in Friendswood, and the community was developed on over 760 acres and features around 1,300 homes. And there's 20 acres that are here that are reserved for commercial development, and around 100 acres was also reserved for community recreation and parks, kind of where I'm at right now. Now, the average sales price here is sitting at a whopping $824,000 with an average price per square foot at $206. It's not the cheapest. However, we do have property here that ranges from in the mid 500s all the way above $1 million. And the average size of a home here in West Ranch is around 3,900 square feet. The average rental rates here in West Ranch is $4,800 per month. And the tax rate here is honestly not that bad, coming in at 2.2%. And the HOA fees range from $1,200 all the way up to $1,550, depending on which section that you live here in West Ranch, like a gated section, for example. Okay, so this community is actually going to be located in Galveston County. We're on the Galveston County side of Friendswood, and it is zoned to the highly sought after A+ rated Friendswood Independent School District, which is one of the best districts here in the Houston region. And being here in the Bay Area of Houston, you are centrally located to everything, which is amazing. Galveston Island is about maybe 30 to 40 minutes away from here. Same with downtown Houston, and neighboring towns like Pearland, Lake City, Clear Lake, and Webster are really easy to get to. You don't have to travel far at all to get around. Okay, so what I want to do now is we're going to jump in the car and we're going to do what I call a drive-by, where you get to see what the neighborhood looks like here in West Ranch at the ground level. Because if you don't like what the neighborhood looks like, regardless of what the interior of a home looks like, this neighborhood really isn't going to work for you. So let's jump in the car real quick. We'll drive around the neighborhood so you can see at least what the exterior of some of these beautiful homes look like. And then we'll go over and do some property tours together. So let's jump in the car and go. All right, guys, so let's take a look at several different properties here in West Ranch. We're going to look at several different price ranges as well, from the mid 500s all the way up to above $1 million. So you can get an idea of what you can get here in West Ranch for your money. So let's dive into my computer screen and I'll show you around. So we're going to go ahead and head on over to lifeinhouston.com, and then we're going to start plugging in some addresses. And the first one I'm going to show you is this guy right here. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2544 square foot. Listed for sale at $559,000. Now this one is currently under contract right now. As you can see where it says pending. So that is under contract, and it's listed at $219 a square, which is kind of average for this area. So let's click on it and take a look around inside. You already get to see the elevation here and see the stone. So as soon as we walk through the door, we have the hardwood floors. We have this open concept towards the kitchen. So you can see the kitchen back in there. Let's get a good shot of that. That looks good. That's a really nice kitchen shot. Good amount of space for 2,500 square foot. And then it looks like we have our dining area here. And then we have vaulted ceilings in the living room, which looks really nice. And then we have our nice accented pieces too, which is pretty cool. And then in here, this is gonna be our master bathroom, dual vanities in here. We have our tub and shower separate as well, which is pretty nice. And then our nice walk-in shower too at that. And then here, beautiful, spacious walk-in closet. This is $550,000. I don't think that this is really that bad. And you know, the buyer didn't think so either because they're currently under contract. And then this is gonna be our fully customized, decked out laundry room. We have our built-in shelving in here. And then check this out. We also have a covered patio. Look at this is probably stamped concrete, but looks really nice. And then at least we have a covered patio. And then we have plenty of space back here for plenty of play area for the kids. So that's what you can get for $550,000 in West Ranch. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so the next one is going to be this guy here on Sage Way. This one is also pending, but we're gonna increase our price a little bit to $600,000. 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, a little over 3,000 square foot. And then our price per square foot is actually a little cheaper. Now, I know this property, and this property is actually in a gated section, so I'm willing to bet our HOA dues are a little bit more expensive. Yep, there we go, $1,550 annually. Remember I said your HOA dues are going to depend on what section you live inside West Ranch, and this is a gated section, so you're gonna pay a little bit more money. So let's go take a look and see. You can see the beautiful exterior. Now you're starting to get into a little bit more of a custom elevation rather than your traditional elevation of what we saw for $550. But for $600K, I think this one's an amazing property. So we'll look at the kitchen. We have brown cabinetry here with it looks like a dark granite there going on. And then we'll keep moving. And it's kind of open, I guess, to the living room area. Not as updated as the $550, but hey, it's under contract and the buyer liked it. Vaulted ceilings in here as well in the master bedroom, and it looks pretty spacious as well. Now I can tell this is virtually staged. And then we do also have our covered back patio as well. Plenty of room. This is actually a pretty extended back patio. It's actually really nice. So this is what's gonna get you for $600,000 in the gated section of West Ranch. Okay, moving on to currently my favorite home listed for sale right now in the 600s in West Ranch is gonna be this guy right here. Now we are looking at $158 a square foot, 4,356 total square foot of living space and 4 bedrooms, 3 full and 2 half bathrooms. This is an awesome property, and then we're looking at $1,450 annually for the HOA dues, and of course our tax rate is still gonna be at that 2.2%. Now this one obviously has a pool and a spa, which is super nice. You can tell our elevation is slightly different from what we've seen thus far, but let's check out some of the interior shots of these. So we have our study over here as soon as we walk in the front, and this nice bricked archway, which has a pretty decent touch. This is probably faux brick. I don't think this is gonna be actual real brick inside the house, but nonetheless, it still adds kind of like a custom touch to it. This is gonna be shots of the study. And then let's go into the living room, check this out. So a little bit of a funky layout, I guess you could say, but hey, it's all opinions at the end of the day of what works for you and what doesn't work for you. But a very spacious and large kitchen. And then we have the island in there with our kind of, I don't know, maybe a peninsula sort of thing going on right there, which is pretty cool. And then, so let's go take a look at the outdoor living space. So that's gonna be a game room. So the outdoor living space, the outdoor area, we have our covered patio with our pool. Not much yard though, which kind of sucks. But hey, if you're looking for low maintenance, but you want a pool at the same time, this would be a good property for you. All right, moving on to the next property, which is gonna be also on Sage as well, but we're gonna be in the 700s. So we're almost $100,000 more. 4 beds, 3.5 bathrooms, 3,465 square foot. We're at a price per square foot of $227, built in 2018. Gated section, $1,550 annually. So let's take a look. Again, the elevation is very similar to the one that we saw in the 600s in the gated section. So it's very similar, probably the exact same builder. We have wood, either wood look tile or wood floors. This, I could probably see the grout line, so this is gonna be, yeah, this is wood look tile throughout the house. But this one's a little bit more modernized and updated because we do have the white kitchen. We do have some modern light fixtures here. So I can see why this one might be a little bit more expensive, even though it's less square footage. And also it's in the gated section too. So we have, love the pot filler. That's a must for me if I'm shopping for a new house. I need a pot filler because it makes life so much easier. And it looks like everything's open into the living space, the living room as well. And then our master bedroom is actually pretty large and spacious with a wall of windows to bring in a ton of natural light. And this house is actually going to come with plantation shutters, which is pretty cool. And then we have dual vanities with our sink, or not our sink, our bathroom caddy cornered right there. And then we also have a walk-in shower. So we do have a shower and we do have our full soaking garden tub. And then check out our outdoor area. This one is probably the largest covered patio that we have seen thus far on this property tour. Very large covered patio, drop down TV. And then we also have a pool and a spa, albeit this does look very small in the photos, which it probably also is small in person. But at least you get a pool, you get a spa, you get the covered patio. You're gonna be in a gated section of West Ranch. And you know, you have low maintenance. So again, if you're looking for low maintenance yards with a pool, this is gonna be it. All right, moving on to a bigger pool with a little bit more yard space. This one's gonna be on Knoll Bridge for $825, 4 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms. We're almost pushing to 4,000 square feet and we're listed at $208 a square. This one was built in 2012, so it's been around for a little bit. So let's take a look at the front. You can see the elevation. We have some cedar columns, which looks pretty nice. Beautiful exterior shots there. And then so we walk through the door. This is what we're greeted with. Our staircase to the right. We have our dining room to the right. And then I'm wondering if to the left will be any bedrooms or studies, but nope, no studies there. But anyways, I bet you this house does have a study, which is probably this right here. Yep. And we have some nice, I wouldn't say 20-foot ceilings entirely, but it is a vaulted ceiling in the living room, which does add a lot of just spatial awareness as far as your feel is concerned. Yeah, this is gonna be 20-foot ceilings. So 20-foot ceilings in here, but the other corner is gonna be vaulted. And then we have a really nice, enormous kitchen island right here going in, opened up into the living room. So we have a ton of cabinet space as well. We've got our pot filler, gotta have that pot filler, guys. And then this is gonna be our breakfast area. And then this is actually a shot. This is a pretty common layout back in 2012 or the early 2010s, is this layout right here. You have the master bedroom over there situated by the backyard where those walls of windows is over here. And then to the, you know, or adjacent to that is gonna be this little sitting area next to this kind of half fireplace, which is a very interesting layout. You don't really see this anymore in a lot of the newer construction communities. But hey, you know, I kind of like the layout. Let me know what you guys think. This is gonna be our dual vanities. Now, obviously, girls, women, this is y'all's over here. Men, this is us. We don't get anything. We're lucky to even have a sink, okay? And then this one's gonna have a game room, which is pretty nice. We have tons of space up there. Yep, 4,000 square foot. Now let's take a look at the utility room. Oh, before we do, that is an exterior shot of the front of the home where you have a nice little covered patio outside on the second story. And then here is gonna be our oversized utility room. Perfect because if you have kids, and especially if you're 4,000 square foot, guess what? You have room for an extra refrigerator that no longer has to go in the garage, which is super cool. And then on top of that, you have your washer and dryer with tons of storage space above that. And then we also have our workstation countertops right here. So let's take a look at the pool. Now this is a gorgeous pool. Guys, if you want a pool in a house, my biggest suggestion for you, or biggest recommendation is to go ahead and buy a house that already has a pool installed, because it is just mind-blowingly expensive nowadays to install a pool. If you're on a budget, that's the route to go. If you're not on a budget, don't worry about it. If you want to spend $150,000 to $200,000 to install a pool like this, go for it. But if you're on a budget, you're already spending $800,000 on a home, and you want a pool, or you think you might want a pool later on down the road, go ahead and just buy one with a pool. Search for property with a pool. Nice shot of the elevation of the back patio and just the overall backyard area. Beautiful property nonetheless, and you still have a little bit of green space. Not a whole lot, but hey, it's a heck of a lot better than what we've seen on the couple of houses so far with the pools. Next up, we have this guy right here, 5 bedrooms, 4.5 bathrooms, 4784 square foot for $950,000. Our annual HOA dues are around $1,450 annually. And then this one also has a pool, but it looks like it might have a bigger yard, and I don't know, but let's see, let's check it out. So we have our elevation here with our cedar columns. As soon as you walk through the door, you're greeted with those 20-foot tall ceilings, which is really nice. This is our separated study. Probably has French doors leading into it. And then this is gonna be your dining room. Beautiful gourmet kitchen here, nice and spacious. The island, I wish it kind of would have moved it towards out here, but okay, it's all right. It looks good. And then pot fillers. We have our pot fillers, and then we have our stovetop here. And then this is gonna be your pantry. Beautiful pantry with the nice built-ins. You're not gonna see this. They've added this in since they purchased the house. I'm willing to bet because builders aren't gonna throw this kind of stuff in there. Nice, super tall, 20-foot ceilings in here with walls of windows. We have 8 different windows in here in the living room with our stone wall fireplace. You can see the stone fireplace. Wish they would have taken it all the way to the ceiling though. That would have added a lot more character. But beautiful home nonetheless. Let's keep moving. This is gonna be a shot of the master bedroom. Here's our game room area, and then this is gonna be our nice little shot of, this is pretty cool, of our home theater room. Now you can see they've added risers in here, which is pretty cool. So they have risers and they have your projector screen. Super cool. So yeah, let's take a look at this one. Oh, we have our nice little study up here as well. So this is a perfect area to put your kids for homework. And then we have our washer and dryer or utility room with a little bit of room for a refrigerator. Doesn't quite look like they could have squeezed a bigger refrigerator in there, but hey, at least you have one in there, right? 3-car garage or 4-car garage, because you fit 2 there, 3, 4, yep. 4-car garage, and then we do have our pool. Doesn't look like there's a spa though, or a hot tub, but hey. This one's almost the same size as the last house, but at least you get some sort of yard space with this one. All right, and last but not least, we have one for $1.15 million. So this one is going to be a 5 bedrooms, 4.5 bathrooms, 4,900 square foot, $1,450 annually. So let's take a look and see what this house looks like. The elevation is gorgeous. I love the way this one looks by far. And I don't know, you tell me what you guys think. I think this one's my favorite elevation. And then let's look at the entryway. Look at the cedar right here. This is good architecture right here. As soon as you walk in, the French doors, you're greeted with this spiral staircase, 20-foot ceilings, and then we do have our recessed ceilings up here, or tray ceilings that I can see that. Gorgeous hardwood throughout the house. On the left-hand side, as soon as you walk in, behind the staircase, we have our study, which is beautiful. And let's take a closer look at the study. I love how they did the wallpaper accent on the ceiling of it. And then we have nice neutral tones, which is, I love neutral tones, especially if I'm going to sell a property. I want the sellers to have neutral tones. But this looks great. This is gonna be our formal seating area. And then let's take a look at the kitchen. So we have 2-tone cabinets. We have our island that's gonna be kind of a bluish grayish color with our white regular cabinets on the uppers and lowers. And we'll take a look. Beautiful right there, love it. No pot filler, oh man. Nope, this one's gonna be a no-go for me. All right, so let's keep moving. We have a 20-foot ceilings in here. Nice open concept to the living room, which is great. And then we have that wall of windows. Again, 8 different windows, bringing in a ton of natural light, which makes a huge difference on how things look and how things feel inside your home. Beautiful, and I love the sliding doors. We have 2 different sliding doors right here in the dining area that'll lead out to the backyard. That's nice. So just imagine if on a nice, let's say 60 to 70 degree day, low humidity, you have your pool and water features, you open that up in the morning, drink your coffee, or just kind of relax while if you work from home, you can sit right here on your laptop and just enjoy your day, relaxed and trying to work. I think that's an amazing feature to the home right here. This is one of my favorite features actually so far. So let's take a look at the master bathroom. So the master bathroom, we have our nice walk-in shower that is going to be separated from the freestanding tub. We do have dual vanities. And let's take a look at the utility room. Pretty large utility room, not too shabby, not too small, not too big. And then we do have our full-blown outdoor area, not an outdoor kitchen, but we do have our fireplace right here, which is nice. And this is actually a pretty spacious backyard, a pretty spacious outdoor living area for sure. And then a beachfront entryway into your pool. Awesome. And let's see, we have an aerial shot of this. We do have a nice little aerial shot. So you do have some sort of backyard. You don't have, it's not where you're just gonna walk into your fence as soon as you exit the pool. So at least you do have some sort of backyard here, and you're surrounded by other neighbors with beautiful homes as well. All right guys, so now let's talk about the amenities that are here at West Ranch. So obviously we got some pools in the background, so you have a really nice lap pool here. And then I'm in the section where the clubhouse is. So we got our clubhouse and fitness centers here, another clubhouse right there behind me. This clubhouse is actually really decently sized, but we have tons of little lakes scattered throughout the neighborhood. We have a park where I was filming at a second ago, which is really cool, nice spacious area. And then we also have splash pads for the kids, which is perfect for those summer days where it's just scorching hot. And you know how hot it gets down here in Houston. And if you don't, you will soon when you move down here. But there are plenty of hiking and biking trails scattered throughout the lake as well for those scenic walks. And then we have a nice, beautiful bridge going from one side of the neighborhood to the other. Okay, so now let me tell you about the schools that you're gonna be zoned to here in West Ranch. Now, the first one is gonna be this school right behind me called Klein Elementary. Klein Elementary is actually located right here inside West Ranch, so you don't have to travel far. Next up, we have Friendswood Junior High, which is not too far from here either. It's actually, I guess it's actually in the neighborhood too, on the front end or the front side of West Ranch. And then we have Friendswood High School, of course, all of which are A-rated schools. So if you're looking for a quality education for your children, man, you cannot go wrong with these three different schools. And Friendswood ISD is actually one of the top ranked school districts in the entire Houston region, coming in at number 3. I think it bounces back and forth between maybe 3 and 4 or 2 and 3. And get this, there's 51 total districts in the entire Houston region. So I think it's safe to say this is a phenomenal school district, and your children are definitely going to get a quality education here. So if you plan on moving to Friendswood, Texas, or anywhere in the greater Houston area for that matter, make sure you give us a call. We'll make sure we get you the best deal at the best price with the best possible terms. And we will match you with a neighborhood that matches your lifestyle the most. Remember, not every great neighborhood will match every great person. So remember that. So make sure you give us a call and we'll be able to guide you in the right direction. Don't move to the wrong neighborhood. See you guys in the next video.